آدمایی که تو فضا همون فرق نمیکنه که اونا رو بکشیم یا بکشیم.
من نمیخوام بگم باشی فرق توی فضا یه چیزایی هست که من نیست. میرم تو فضا سنگا رو بگیم یکی از سنگا هم میارم من
بنفت بشه
بنفت ندارم از دارم
دستی نمید
نرفتم باری از اکسشون
یعنی چی دیدم عکساشونو؟
یعنی اکسشون
همشون قرمزن؟
قرمز دیگه
بنفش نداری؟ ما نداری بنفش بکنم
ما قرمز هم تو دنیای بنفش حالا تو میخوای چی کنشی؟
من میخوام بازی دارم حسی کنم چه کاری داره از بازی دارم
اما اگه تلاش کنیم
این شاید بتونم مثلا خواننده باشم، نوازنده باشم، وکیل باشم
نقاشی
نقاشی هم میکنم ولی بازیگری مثلا این چیز دیگه دیگه مثلا آدما تو عمل مثلا تو عمل میکنن و گوش داره دیگه باهوشه مثلا زنده است و یهو دیدی مثلا شنیدی که قش میکنه بیهوش میشه و اونجا دکتر سعی میکنه مثلا اونو به هوش بیاره کسی که قش کرده. بازیگری هر لحظهش تو زندگی من شکلیه باز هی داره من بیشتر زندگی من هم نمیتونم بازیگر خواستم نیستم هستم میگه
گوگل از بکنم
هستم
آن موقع دریایی نمیشه میزدی بایستانن مرگی به طور اتفاق بینادا از فرط بیکاری او رو میکشه. موضوعی برای یک داستان
I was 16 years old. My entire happiness was based on the visions I had for my future. I always walked in my fantasies, almost as if I was always floating 10 centimeters above the ground. My feet chose anything but to walk on the grounds of reality. I was in love with acting. I was in love with writing. So naturally, I became overcome with joy when at the age of 16, I stepped in theater school.
من موقع دریایی هستم؟ نه اینطور نیست. من یک هنرپیشه‌ام ولی خب
During the time I studied the history of theater, I was introduced to the goddess Artemis, and it was as if she had gifted me with an immense feminine power and strength as I got to know her. A divine force that would help me for years to come.
نه عیبی نداره. بله اون اعتقادی به تئاتر نداشت. کم کم همه اعتماد به نفس ما از دست دادم و تبدیل شدم به یه آدم پوچ و حقیر. نمیتونستم روی صحنه بایستم. به صدام تسلط نداشتم. حتی نمیدونستم با دستام چی کار باید بکنم.
Now, the feelings I bear at this moment are 7 years apart from that stage of my life. Today, all I thought of then and all the things I were are no longer with me, except from two things that stay with me after those long 7 years: my dreams and faith. This movie starts now, but it won't have a final scene, because I'm still alive, and so will my story be. But it starts from when I was 16 years old.
من مرغ دریایی هستم. من یک هنرپیشم. راستی آن مرغ دریایی رو که روزی با تیر زدید یادت آمد؟ مردی به طور اتفاق میآید، او را میبیند و از فتح بیکاری او را میکشد. موضوعی برای یک داستان کوتاه.
It all began the last year of theater school. Just as the scenarios I imagined every night before going to bed, my presence had finally been wanted in a film. It wasn't unexpected. I always believed in the power of manifestation and knew whatever I wanted would turn into reality. Yet this reality turned out to shape this story and my whole life up until this moment. A reality that meant being exposed to sexual violence and forced silence when faced with harassment from the same people that were in my imagination before going to sleep at night. How come they were so kind in my mind? I revisit the repeated suffering and endless attacks that have now turned into old scars. I go back to those memories from the tales of my past to come and tell you what happened. It was noon, and my school had called my father to give him a report on my eyebrows, facial hair, and my school uniform. I remember that night. We were at my stepmother's sister's house. It was raining outside. Father came to pick us up to go home, and I remember the energy in the car was unpleasant and cold. I could tell that what the principal had told him had clearly upset him. He didn't go straight home that night. Instead, he sped up and entered a tunnel that would exit the city. Some time passed, and he parked the car somewhere I had never been before. As he stepped out of the car, he told me to get out with him. The next thing I remember is my father throwing me on the ground. He pinned both my hands down with his feet and used all his force to beat me up. I remember that my little sister watched me from the car and desperately started to scream and cry in panic. What felt like forever came to an end when my stepmother came out of the car to drag me back in from the ground. And so we went home. Now I understand that I had to stay alive that night to be here to tell you this story today. The only thing that went through my mind in the car ride back home was that wishing or imagining won't be enough to save me. When I woke up the following day, everything was at its place. My faith and belief, and the fresh wounds on my body, and an excruciating ache that reminded me that I have to use all the power that was left in me to flee from home. The sooner, the better.
بله. بیا.
و اینکه که از اول در هرگز درباره دارو و تجهیزات پزشکی نبوده و حتی
پس گریه کن، گریه کنی منم گریه هم میگیره ها.
تجهیزات پزشکی که هم در بیمارستان ها هم در امور پزشکی در
Letter to a Child Never Born. I remember those days. I had previously read this book, and as Atia, my character was 4 months pregnant after being raped in the deserts of Meskeraba. I reread the book to better develop and shape her. They always try to destroy me and make me feel small. With coercion and insistence, they forced the 16-year-old me to lose weight. As my night fantasies had been turned to reality, the assistant director and the acting coach of the project saw me outside of our school building and asked for my contact information. They wanted me to come to their office for an audition. After being temporarily casted for the main role for their project, me and my father went to their office to sign a contract to make it official the following week. Although exhilarated, the environment I was placed in gave me a terrible gut feeling that there was a probability that could result in me getting kicked off the project. And it was at this exact point, in that exact moment of anxiety, to hold on to my dream, that would define this whole story. Lalita, Melina, and James Dean. These were the personalities that he used as references for the making of my character, Atia. He demanded me to exercise the muscles of my lips until I could master an erotic look that he wanted to see. As his story took place in 1348, they persisted. I shut off any form of social media and end any friendships I had in order for me to fully inhabit the role of my character. I was told to listen and practice songs from that era from singers such as Banan that I would later have to perform, even with the knowledge that I was atrocious at it. If I made a simple mistake of singing out of tune, they would torment me.
بازیگری واقعی واسه من الان یعنی صبر، یعنی تحمل، یعنی معتقد بودن.
I feel pity for you, but I'm happy that I can reflect on those days, drink my coffee in peace, and tell my story from a place of love, because I'm not the culprit of this story, and I will never be.
من اعتقاد دارم به خودم، به استعدادم. پس دیگه چه دلیلی داره که بترسم؟
It was the 2nd of December 2015. My class had a play that day that we had to perform as an exam for school. The previous night, I received a message on Telegram's private chat function. these 15-second messages continued until 4 in the morning, and I had to be ready for my exam play. Being scared that my night imaginations of becoming a successful actress would turn into nightmares, I didn't sleep. Instead, I left home. And that morning, Atia became Atia. I arrived early to school for the exam. I stepped into the dressing room next to the amphitheater and looked in the mirror. Today, I realized what I saw in that mirror that day was what had turned into my biggest nightmare. Today, I'm awake, and I have accepted the present. And life, it just goes on.